I'd like to call to order this meeting of Susquehanna Township Board of Commissioners, our last meeting of the year. I will note that all commissioners are present, one of them virtually, that's Commissioner Barczyk. All the others are here. We did meet in executive session and discuss matters of real estate and personnel. I'd like to begin with a pledge of allegiance followed by a moment of silence. And if the pledge could be led tonight by Latasha Williams, I'd appreciate that.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, welcome everybody. Big house tonight, that's great. Y'all here to hear about the intricacies of the budget? One, okay. That's all we need, that's all we need. First, we'll start off with approval of minutes from our November 9th, 2023 Board of Commissioners regular meeting. Is there a motion?
Yes, Mr. President, also move, noting that I did make several corrections, which I believe have been incorporated, and with those changes made, moving to approve.
Second.
Move that, seconded by Commissioner Perlona. Comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Let's go into recognitions and presentations. Presentations of the public 2023 Public Safety Awards. Fire Marshal Dries. Or Public Safety Director Martin, or both. Please, don't be shy, guys.
We have four different awards to give. We're going to do this one first. If the following people would please come up if you're here. Chief Marv Reese, he's away. Firefighter John Logan, firefighter Dakota Harrison, firefighter Grant Bond, firefighter Mike Kraska, and Company 32 firefighter Joe Wynn. This is a unit citation life-saving award for a motor vehicle with accident with heavy entrapment. Company 37 and 38 responded to the above location, called in from off-duty firefighter from Progress Fire Company Joe Wynn. This occurred on May 23rd, or May 5th of this year. Incident number F23004074, box 38-5 on Clarks Valley Road, Middle Paxton Township. The vehicle traveled 50 feet down an embankment, downing power lines and resting on its roof. Firefighter Wynn, with the help of his wife, who was in the vehicle, called 911 and assisted members of Rescue 37 and Company 38. They rigged the rope system to gain access to the vehicle for personnel and extraction tools. Upon extraction, the patient was packaged. The lowering system was converted to a haul system for the safe recovery of the victim and all the rescue personnel. So, one for Company 37. Thank you very much. This is a unit citation, life-saving award, motor vehicle accident, heavy entrapment on the George Wade Bridge. The following people, please come forward. The first one is civilian EMT Ken Cross. He's not associated with Susquehanna Township, however, he lives in Susquehanna Township, and he was the first person on the scene just traveling down the road. From Susquehanna Township EMS, paramedic Kay Ross, paramedic Jake Evans, EMT Bruce Daniels, and EMT David Ritter. And from Progress Fire Company, Chief Mike Lawrence, Lieutenant Mike Lipsett, firefighter Colby Linhart, firefighter Ethan Safe, firefighter John Seeds, firefighter Hunter Draper, and firefighter Garen Boyd. And from Rescue Fire Company, was Chief Mark Reese, firefighter John Logan, Captain Mark Boland, and firefighter Dakota Harrison. Company 9, 37, and 32 responded to the above location, finding a box truck that had impaled itself into a tractor trailer. The driver was heavily trapped and was being cared for by EMT Ken Cross. Crews from Company 32 and 37 worked seamlessly extricating the patient while the transfer of patient care was eventually passed on to Susquehanna Township EMS medic crews. If not for the initial care from EMT Cross, the interaction between Company 32, 37, and Susquehanna Township EMS, the patient surely would not have survived the crash, and the care given during his extended extrication led to the successful recovery of the victim. One for EMS.
Hang on, George. George! Look at him. Turn around and look at him.
You're in there, George. I'm going to bump out.
The next one is Unit Citation Life-Saving Award. This is for a cardiac arrest AED response. It's incident number F23-000-4070, box 32-8, and that's at 1521 North 25th Street on May 5th, 2023. The first three are Susquehanna Township Police Department officers, Patrolman First Class, Jamie Stittler, Officer David Yannick, and Officer Jacob Roche. They've all been taken care of through the police department. And they were on the scene first, so that's remarkable. Company 32 personnel, if you would please, Assistant Chief Michael Lawrence, Lieutenant Nick Rocky, and Lieutenant Vincent Vinny Lacananata. That's the way I'm going to pronounce it. So, he goes by Vinny. Yeah, he goes by Vinny. There's a lot of nicknames that I can't. For their actions responding and assisting Susquehanna Township Police and Company 9 in their successful clinical save of citizens in cardiac arrest. The immediate response by the police, fire, and EMS assets from the township, combined with the immediate basic life-saving skills, AED application, and cardiac drug intervention, not only brought a clinically dead subject back to life, but he was released from the hospital days later. Squad. And all right, yeah, sorry about that. EMS people, take two.
No, they're not here.
Says the chief. Yep. Just like I planned.
Oh, good job, Donald. Look at that.
Hang on, Vinny. Your boys want a picture.
Ange got that spot
Krista, get up
tonight.
there.
I offered to bring him.
This is a unit citation, life-saving award. This is for the gas leak and explosion for engine 32 in Susquehanna Township EMS. This is incident number F22-0011-083, box 32-2, 3204 Crest Road on 13 December 22. Following people, if you would please come up from Company 32, Assistant Chief Ben Wolford, firefighter Adam Hockenberry, firefighter Jake firefighter Ethan Nate, firefighter Mason, come on, help. Monza, Lieutenant Nick Rocky, firefighter Colby Lindhart, firefighter Brian Mahout, and firefighter Lucas Fick. From Company 9, it was paramedic Robert Smith, paramedic Angela Pinty, EMT Jessica Floyd, EMT Chloe Nace, and paramedic Joe Sher. Yep. Okay. This is for their actions responding and evacuating the residents of 3204 Crest Road and subsequent homes in the area of a major gas leak that led to an explosion, injuring the UGI representative and 2 firefighters, and damaging 8 residents. Their actions not only saved lives, but enhanced the gas response protocols throughout Pennsylvania. So if we're gonna fail, okay, if things are gonna happen, we wanna fail forward. We wanna learn from what we've done and try to make improvements. And this is huge to Progress Fire Company, in particular, Assistant Chief Ben Wolford, for putting together an emergency plan that was for gas leaks, were not only adopted by Dauphin County response, but it's been pushed out due to the video and some other assets that we came across throughout the Commonwealth. So while they saved lives that day, those policies that have been put in place as a result of that are continuing to save lives. And speaks volumes because we're getting a lot of gas leaks and gas explosions throughout the country. Our infrastructure is starting to wean. So congratulations, thank you.
And you want me to take pictures?
Hey, before,
Okay, from the fire EMS side, if you got an award, please stand up here. I want to be able to get a picture with all the commissioners and you up front. And while you're doing that, okay, while you're doing that in some resemblance of order, I'd like to state the following. Commissioners, staff, and citizens, the men and women in front of you this evening represent just a fraction of our outstanding professionals that serve and protect Susquehanna Township and beyond. We serve at a time of great consequences where success hinges on our ability to optimize our responders towards the changing characteristics of emergency services. Their dedicated service keeps our proud and professional volunteer fire service solid. They spend thousands of hours training and preparing for the worst case scenarios. While we have no idea what the next year has in store for any of us, we put ourselves in a position to be able to greet adversity with the impression we are precisely here for what I had trained for. I am pleased to announce that, where's Chief Lawrence? Right here. Stand up here. In addition, I'm pleased to announce that Michael Lawrence is the new Chief of Progress Fire Company. Mike's a 3rd-generation fire service. His father, Bucky, was a firefighter and officer of the Edgemont Fire Company. And his father, Robert Jordan, was the chief of the Edgemont Fire Company. I have high confidence that Chief Lawrence will build upon his great example provided by his predecessors at Progress Fire Company and will serve with the distinction as the 26th Fire Chief of Progress Fire Company. Lastly, I'd like to thank the commissioners for the support of the fire service throughout the years. While raising taxes is not a decision made lightly, we believe that our citizens understand and respect that a portion of this budget tax raise is an investment in not only the services that the township provides us, but also for the continued sustainability of our fire service. So thank you very much for the consideration. If you would, gentlemen, stand in front and they can stand up and you do one big picture.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. All right, moving on now with the agenda. Thanks, Chief. Thanks, George. Hey, Chief. Rob.
Stay out. Why? Because I have to go. Someone bleeding out. You have an address?
Yeah.
Send a Christmas card.
I'm going to call up Patrol Officer First Class Craig Lager. And I'd be remiss that, first of all, if you remember, you'd seen Craig just a few weeks ago who received the Medal of Heroism. Craig came to us from the Doylestown area of Bucks County, and in light of the fire service receiving their much deserved awards, Craig started his service in public service as a firefighter in Doylestown, and he was just outside telling me, you know, how much it took to get his Firefighter 1 certification. And I'll never forget when he came here for his interview before the board, as a firefighter, he asked me, and I'm going to say this because the chief's in the room, out of honor of the chief, he said, Susquehanna Township, you have that Progress Fire Company here, don't you? And it speaks to the live-in program that goes outside the boundaries of this township and this county throughout the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania of how that live-in program for many, many decades has resonated to firefighters across this Commonwealth. So tip my hat to you, Chief. Craig is coming before us tonight to be promoted to the rank of corporal. He has done an excellent job. He's a member of the Dauphin County Crisis Response Team. He has become an instructor in many disciplines in our department, including defensive tactics. So if it would please you, the board, to all those who see these presents greeting, know ye that reposing special trust and confidence in the patriotism, fidelity, and abilities of Craig Lager, that we are to appoint you to serve as a corporal of police. Headquarters Susquehanna Township Police Department is 14th day of December in the year of our Lord, 2023, and in the 247th year of the independence of the United States. So, Mr. President, I recommend that his promotion to corporal be accomplished.
Is there a motion to that
Mr.
effect?
President, I move to promote Patrol Officer First Class Craig Lager to the rank of Corporal.
Second.
Susquehanna Township Police Department.
Moved by Commissioner Engel, seconded by Commissioner Napper. Any discussion or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, congratulations.
Comes the pinning from the spouse. He's there, it's going out. Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board.
Thank you, Chief. All right, before we get on to our next topic, I would like to see if anybody wishes to address the board. Engage in public comment. Anybody who wishes to address the board?
Mr. Moser,
Hearing none. Next, we'll get into presentation of the Susquehanna Township Bicycle, Pedestrian, and Greenways Plan. Mr. Canals. See our consultants here, and I also see our bike ped coordinator, Mr. Norford.
Sorry, give me 1 second. Thank you, Board. As you're aware, we've been, as a township, working on our township-wide bicycle pedestrian greenway plan. We began the process in March of this year, and with partnership with Assistant Manager Logan, at the time, Zoning Officer Matt Creech, the Recreation Advisory Committee, Planning Commission, and a steering committee as well. We've spent this time over the past 10 months developing a draft plan for a presentation to the board this evening. What we're hoping at the end of the presentation and after possible discussion, that we then open the plan up for public review for 45 days starting on December 18th, after another meeting with the Planning Commission and the Recreation Advisory Committee as a joint meeting that evening. So with that, I'd like to turn the floor over to our consultant, Bob Thomas with Campbell Thomas and Company, and he'll take you through the presentation.
Thank you very much, Doug. Good evening, everyone. We're very excited to talk to you about what we're actually looking at is helping to implement your unbelievable comprehensive plan. When we were being asked to look at possibly working on this job, putting a proposal together, we read through the 2019 Sustainable Susquehanna 2030, and I said, man, I wish I wrote that. You know, it really, really addressed a lot of things that we care about, and hopefully that we are helping to help you implement. It's a big job, and let's just talk a little bit about how that would happen. Next slide, please. This is just the team. Our firm, we also have several people from HRG, and also Connect the Dots, which helped us actually determine how the community, a disabled community, can be better involved in all the things that we're doing here in the township in regard to walking, biking, transportation, and so forth. Next, please. We have a wonderful study committee. I'm sure you recognize many of the names there. And obviously, we're building off of some things that are very successful and are known far beyond the township, like the capital area Greenbelt and other things that go through Susquehanna Township, like the 9/11 Trail, and so forth and so on. Next, please. So overall, how do you do this? It's like I say, if you're going to, in a sense, retrofit the township for walking and biking, and people say, are you really doing this, or are you just kidding? You know, yeah, we can put a trail in here, we can put a bike rack at the school, but I live here and I want my kids to be able to ride half a mile to the library, and it's just never going to work on 39. How do you do that? So I always say, I'm an architect. I actually am also the chair of the Historical Commission in Philadelphia, and how did we get involved in trails? Is all the heritage corridors and historic areas and looking at transportation as being a big factor in the livability of the community. So in doing a plan like this, the first thing is to develop a township-wide vision. You've done that with your comprehensive plan and all the things that we've learned from talking to people from the committee and so forth. The other thing that this will do, it's a big job, to really make the township completely walkable, bikeable, accessible by public transit, along with all the convenience that many people enjoy with automobiles and trucks and so forth, to guide future development and what's called multimodal connectivity. What that means is, oftentimes when I come from Philadelphia, I take my bike on the train, and I get off and I ride up the Greenbelt. I get here over, that way. That's multimodal. Using a bus to connect with something, all of that. Evaluating existing conditions and community needs. We've crawled all over the township. We have a lot of help from your Commissioner Fred Filona, and also from your head bike coordinator, who has spent both have spent many, many hours in time guiding us and showing us and seeing what needs to happen. Also listening to all the people who've come to the public meetings, people who we've interviewed, organizations, about what the community needs are. And then also in the report, so you can say, okay, we know what's wanted, we know how things are right now, and making that jump, there's a basis that's needed for local decision-making and funding. Things take champions. You don't get a new library done without somebody championing. You don't get, a trail to Fort Hunter like you have without somebody taking that on. So there are any number of projects here that will need to be done that way. The other thing you'll see in the draft report, and it'll be enhanced in the final report, is all the sources of funding that are available. Travel all over Pennsylvania, you'll see all kinds of trails, walkways, sidewalks, other things going in. It's happening somehow. And the infrastructure money that's available now and other funds that are available, there's no reason Susquehanna should not get its fair share to serve its citizens, the people who come to visit and come to work at the township. Next, please. The next slide, please.
Trying to get it there.
There you go. Okay, so how do you organize a study like this? Well, we had site visits by bicycle, car, and actually walking. The underserved community, we had folks at Connect the Dots interview people in the disabled community. I've been very much involved in ADA activities and so forth, and getting people to tell us what's missing that they need. HRG has been on our team, as you saw. They've done the mapping of the geographic information systems available in the township and the county. We've done a community survey. We had a community walk and bike ride. People who don't like coming to meetings often like coming and walking out and telling you, this is pretty, come over, take a look at this, this works, this doesn't work. Looking at the background, the demographics of who's in the township, how are things are growing and changing. We had interviews of at least a dozen or so stakeholders, different organizations or groups that are really concerned about this. Obviously, the inventory of what's there in terms of what trails exist, but then also even where they don't exist, where could they be easily implemented, or where are they really necessary, even if it's difficult. We've done all that analysis. We've come up with a draft concept plan. We'll also be working on the management, operation, and maintenance. Even if I came in with a donor with $50 trillion and said, look, get it built in a year, how would you take care of it? Right? It's just no different than what happened to Columbia, Pennsylvania. They built a magnificent visitor center on the Susquehanna River, and they discovered they had no money to operate. Well, they solved the problem by getting someone through the Susquehanna Gateway Heritage Area. But for a while, the building was just sitting there, beautiful building, nothing happening. So the same way, you don't want to build this, like as with any other facilities that you do, and then a few years later it's falling apart. It becomes part of what has to be taken care of. The other thing too, of course, is an implementation plan. It's no different than if you're working with your house. You buy an old, beautiful old house, and suddenly you have a whole bunch of things to do. What do you do first? So you have to have a plan of attack over a number of years of how you do that. And we've done, in the plan, you'll see not only indicating what the system would look like with all the different facilities, but also what's the priority, which things come first, second, third. We have 5 phases. It doesn't mean you can't jump ahead, but at least the idea is to do a logical group of things so that they get immediate use, and one thing leads to the next. And now, of course, we're involved with the draft and final report. That's just the official map, just showing all the connections. Next, please. So the public input process, we had a project website, we've had steering committee meetings, public workshops, the online survey. We were at the Wetlands Festival, we were at Tour Develop. As I was told, D is a lowercase d, fix that. We had a public walk and bike ride, and we had outreach from Connect the Dots. So we've gotten a lot of good information. Next, please. We also, I can tell you as a transit advocate and someone who in early in my career actually worked for the Southeastern Pennsylvania Transportation Authority as a planner. It's a passion I've had, and I worked with Rich for before, and we did a plan from New York County, countywide trail plan, other things where he's operating transit. So you're very fortunate to have someone in a firm like that that's running the Susquehanna Regional Transit Agency with Capital Area Transit, Rabbit, and the others. So we had a good chance to talk about what they're planning to do. They're having their own bus revolution. And we've also put some ideas in that we take in our own experience. But I will tell you, I can't tell you how many times I'm going around and there's a bus and I throw my bike on the front rack of the bus. Sometimes it's just to get up the hill, chutes and ladders. Other times I'm going home and it's pouring, like cats and dogs, and I'll do that. But things like that make a big difference for people. And it expands the area of transit. If you draw a 15-minute bicycling circle around every bus stop, even with relatively meager transportation system that's typical in the United States, you cover most areas. There's really very little you can't get to in an area like Susquehanna Township and Harrisburg area, the capital area. Next, please. One of the things we looked at, and you'll see it in the study that was sent out to you. We actually went back 10,000 years. There's a map from the Historical Museum Commission of the Historic Indian Paths of Pennsylvania. We cut out the area, the capital area. And of course, there was one along the Susquehanna River and the others. But we also looked at how did this area grow. There were trolley lines that went to Progress in Lingelstown. They went north to Rockville. And obviously, the areas along there look more like an urban area that you would see in Lancaster or in Chambersburg. You know, the streets are gridded. It's the older type of development built around streetcars. I'm sure most of you are aware, most of the township was farmland or open space until really after World War II. But then the kind of development that came in was really based around the automobile for convenience. That's what people wanted. So what we found is the areas that are blue with circles are areas within those circles you can walk around just fine. Right? If you live there, you want to go over a couple blocks, it's easy to do. But then you have all these roads, huge roads, like Lingelstown, like Progress, and the others, that, and expressways as well, layered on top of that, that really create barriers to getting from one area to another, other than by motor vehicle or public transit. So what we've looked at is not only enhancing, starting off, dealing with the area, the barriers, the red lines. There's 39, there's Progress, there's 81, 83, and saying, how do you deal with that? How do you connect things? So if someone wants to go to Wildwood Park, it's not a big deal. Right now, it can be impossible. This is the blow up around Wildwood Park and the area of the township that goes down along 6th Street, et cetera. Next, please. So what types of things do we do? Sharrows are arrows that are painted on the road to advise people that it's a road that does receive bicycle traffic, and to watch for that. Sometimes they're even colored to make that work. They're bike lanes, you see those. They're protected bike lanes. That means bike lanes that have a barrier between the bike lane and the roadway. Sometimes it's just posts, sometimes it's actually like a concrete barrier. Separated bike lanes are bike lanes that are actually to the side and sometimes at a slightly different level. The same way most sidewalks in villages and town centers are separated because the sidewalks at one level and the streets at another. That keeps, and this thing is sometimes done with bike lanes. A cycle track is not a track like a racetrack or anything. A cycle track is where you have a separated bike path. It's usually in two directions. So you have the road and then you have a facility that works that way. In Philadelphia, on our main street, Market Street, they were implemented last year, and I have to tell you, by going to my office, it's amazing. My whole life, being on a street like Market Street was taking your life in your hands. Now there's a barrier, and there's two-way stuff, and it's a totally different world. Bridges. Bridges are an obstacle. The George Wade Bridge doesn't allow bicycles, and there's a long way from the bridge that does until you get up to Clarksbury where the Appalachian Trail is. So for many people who like walk or bicycle, they say, but I can't get over a bridge. So we looked at how do we fix that situation. And you'll see any number of bridges that have banned bicycles and pedestrians even from the time they were built or for a long time that have been reinvented, so to speak, not to reduce automobile traffic, but to allow both. And there are tricks and things that you can do. We talked about that. Improvement of intersections. We were just driving up from the train, Dick picked me up at the train station. We drove up 3rd Street, and just the number of corners where there's now a bulb out at the corner, which means that people can't park that space, which they're not supposed to park at the corner. So you see someone coming around. But then also, that makes it safer for people walking. And we are looking at walking and biking. Bike parking is important. You can have the best bike lanes and bike system, but if you're afraid your bike's going to be gone when you come out of the supermarket, you're not going to use your bicycle. So the parking is really important. And then the other thing is signalization, the treatment of intersections just to make it safer. Next, please. So, what you have in the report, and there's huge maps in the appendix, is our draft recommendations. So if you look at the map, what you'll see is there's the township, and what we have are, we're proposing, well, there are already some existing trails like the Capital Area Greenbelt, then either a multi-use trail or side path along a road, proposed bike lanes or sidewalk, bike routes, that's where you simply sign a road, and what that does, usually it's a road with a lower volume, but it makes a connection, and it also alerts people to watch out, you're sharing this with other people. And then we have an area called trail improvements requires substantial engineering. That's like the George Wade Bridge. We're completing the trail along the Susquehanna River between Wingletown Road and down to the township end. That's an important thing. And then we also have some proposed footpaths. Next, please. Yeah, so this is just the same map blown up. And these are in the appendix that we sent to you. And glad that if you want to call or discuss anything that's in your board or any other general thing, you'd like to do that, or any other suggestions that you have. So, of course, this is a grand system. It would take a long time to develop. So what we did was divide it into segments. The next one, please. Yeah, and there's a large map that shows all of these things, but in terms of phase. So we felt the first thing that was most important was to get the spine transportation routes across the township through every ward, so that there is a really safe, desirable way of going along. You can see P1A is phase 1, project A is the first project. Like P3 is in phase 3, and it's the whatever project number it is. So we start off with the spine routes and get those in, then work on the secondary ones that still take you to important places. We have connections to the community. And then there are a lot of things that are more internal, but take people through, and we improve and give them access to different job sites and communities, churches and other houses of worship, etc. And then remaining connections at the end. Some of these projects are very long-term. I'm sure in other things we work with PennDOT, and you know it can take a long time to plan something. So even something that is shown as, we know will take a long time, that's shown as in the first phase, it may be that during the first 2 years, all you're doing is going to meetings and making sure that the improvements that you want to see in this particular part of the township are being included in the plan. The worst thing that can happen is you go in with a great idea and they say, well, we're at PennDOT or somewhere else, we've already drawn the plans, we can't change it now. What you want to hear is what I've heard on a job group trying to get through the Delaware Water Gap, connecting the two counties and National Park. We went in to see PennDOT in that district. They said, well, we have good news and bad news. The bad news is we don't have any money and we're not doing anything to improve this area. The good news is we don't have any money, we haven't done anything yet to improve the area, so you're in on the ground floor. And the business associations of the towns, and the people there have gotten the plan that they want to see included in all the planning that's going on. And yes, it'll probably be another 5 to 10 years before that's completed, but when you see the activity taking place, what they want to see will be in that plan. So, all that remains is one more slide, and that's the next steps. We'll be back here in this building on Monday. The Planning Commission and the Recreation Advisory Board very kindly agreed to meet on the same night, so we can do this in one meeting. There's a 45-day review period that will begin, and then we'll be doing a final report submission and adoption. Okay, thank you very much. Thanks for your attentiveness.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent presentation.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks for putting it together. I took part in, I guess, 2 things, right, Dick? The meeting plus that little bicycle tour. I think you brought your bike in on the train
Yes, I did.
at the Saturday.
Yeah.
And
My bike is parked outside 30th Street Station right now.
is it? You going back tonight?
Yeah, I'm taking the train, and I'll bike home from
Oh,
work.
Dick will drive you.
Well, he's driving.
Is your bike locked up at the 30th?
It is with 2 very good locks.
Yeah. But I appreciate it. I appreciate all the legwork, Doug and his staff, Dick, that you put into it.
Well, I'll just say also, we're especially excited at Campbell Thomas & Company because Jim Campbell grew up in Susquehanna Township. He's a graduate of Susquehanna.
Is that right?
High School. His father was a doctor here in the township. So you know he's reviewing what we're writing. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions? Okay, so it goes on display for 45 days for review. Where is that going to be?
We'll have it on our website and
Right.
the web portal, plus we'll be sharing it with all of our surrounding municipalities, CAGA and other special interest groups as well.
And that's
Okay.
the county planning commission.
Yeah.
Planning Commission, I guess Kat's involved in that as well, or no?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because we do have a mass transit component.
Right. Yes, sir.
I'd like to move authorization for the 45-day public comment period to commence.
Second.
Steelers must be playing tonight, huh? It's been moved in second. Any other comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Again, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, reports of committees.
Let me just make this.
Buildings and Grounds, Commissioner Rothrock.
If we,
No, we
try
don't.
Thank you. Budget, Commissioner Sanderson.
The only report will be that we have a few items on the agenda here to adopt the budget and so forth. Those are coming up. I don't think we can talk on them right now. But just FYI, the commissioners and staff, we should probably get together early February, mid-February, somewhere in there, just to kind of lasso a few ideas together and plan. That's all. Yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you. Public Works, Commissioner Napper.
Yes, Mr. President. The Public Works Department installed new signs and repaired damaged signs. Leaf collection remains in force throughout the township. A patch and seal job was recently completed on McDalton Drive. And as a final note, Mr. President, over 7,000 feet of sewer and storm lines was televised and 10,000 feet of sewer line was flushed. This ends my report, sir.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Health and Sanitation, Commissioner Barczyk.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just looking ahead to January, residents will be able to place live Christmas trees curbside on Saturday, January 13th, as well as Saturday, January 20th, for pickup by Penn Waste. And just a reminder, all ornaments, decorations, and lights need to be removed from the trees. It's just the trees. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Admin and Personnel, Commissioner Napper.
Yes, Mr. President, I'd like to schedule with the Township Manager the Admin Personnel Committee meeting, the first regular meeting of the new year to review the COLA merit adjustments. Has a date been set for that?
They've sent out a draft date.
Yeah, yes, sir. I believe we are trying to get together on
The 11th, I think.
the 4th,
I thought it was 4th.
January
Okay.
4th, which is a Thursday. No meeting that night, but for 6 p.m.
Okay, I'll add it to my calendar. And then later on in the meeting, we'll discuss the collection and bargaining agreement. That ends my report, sir.
Thank you, Commissioner. Police, Commissioner Engel.
No report.
Thank you. Fire EMS, Commissioner Hisarelli.
Yes, Mr. President, just a quick reminder that this coming Saturday, Progress Fire Santa Detail will be going through its part of the township with Santa Claus on a fire truck, and on Sunday, the Rescue Fire Santa Detail will be doing the same thing. That concludes my report.
All right. Thank you very much. Planning and Zoning, Commissioner Rothrock.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just two items. There was a planning commission meeting on November the 27th. There was one item on the agenda. I neglected to print my report with all the exact addresses, but it was a simple subdivision of a lot where an adjoining lot driveway went onto that lot for a right of way. They simply were redrawing the boundary so that the right of way became part of the lot that it was serving. It was very simple and was recommended for approval. There also was a zoning hearing board on the 6th of December regarding the property at 3801 Walnut Street, I believe it is, the corner of Walnut and Locust Lane. It was an appeal of a decision of the zoning officer on parking not meeting the zoning requirements. And in the alternate, they were asking for a variance to allow that violation. The meeting adjourned at, sometime after 10 p.m. Without a conclusion, and is continued. And correct me on this, Bessie, I think it's January 18th.
That's correct, yep.
That concludes my report.
Very good. Thank you. School Board, Commissioner Williams, I don't know if you have anything.
Oh, just very briefly, Mr. President, the next school board meeting will take place on December the 18th at 7:00 p.m. and all public comment is due by 12 noon on December the 18th, and that'll be at the school district building.
Very good. Thank you. Authority, Commissioner Napper.
Oh, no, I'm going to say no report at this time, sir.
All right, fair enough. Shade Tree. Commissioner Barczak, do you have anything?
I do not.
All right. Does staff have anything for Shade Tree?
No, sir.
Communications.
I do not have a report. There was a note made on our website that there is a correction. So I would just direct anyone who may need to see what that correction is to the Fall/Winter 2023 newsletter to look at page 2, and it is with respect to vehicles with 2 axles. But other than that, that will conclude my report.
All right. Thank you very much. And we do have a deadline coming up for the newsletter, Doug.
December 18th.
Gotcha. Thank you. Human Relations Commission.
No report, Mr. President.
All right. And Parks and Rec, Commissioner Falona.
No report, Mr. President, except that the meeting is now on the 18th with the Planning Commission.
All right. Very good. All right, at this point, I'd like to adjourn into a hearing. We'll resume the meeting after the hearing. But I would ask the hearing is on the budget, as alluded to earlier by Commissioner Sanderson. The budget for the fiscal year and calendar year 2024. So I will adjourn this Board of Commissioners meeting and go into a hearing on the budget. Mr. Solicitor.
This is the time and place that's been advertised for a hearing on the annual budget. I think it would be appropriate before we take any comment, if in fact there is any comment, for the budget chair, Mr. Sanderson, to Commissioner Sanderson, provide a few comments about the budget, Manager Probolka to do the same, and then if any citizens have comment on the budget, we'll take that comment. Commissioner Sanderson.
Thank you, Mr. Solicitor. Briefly, this is the same agenda, budget on the agenda that we discussed last month. It does balance, as it is required to constitutionally. This is actually the one thing that we're required to do of all the things that we do, if you look at the agendas every month. So therefore, it is the culmination of a year of work, but also it's the beginning of a long-term horizon. We're putting together a 4 to 5 year plan, which is why I mentioned I think the Budget Committee would be well served if we met very briefly in February to start putting our thoughts together. Obviously, it'll be too soon to put a budget together, but more discussion is better in my estimation. We are talking about fully funding our public services, fire, emergency, public works, and Parks and Rec, the gamut. But there was a lot of work done. We started with a $2.5 million deficit, and we ended up cutting that in half. So it's a combination of revenue and savings that has balanced the budget, and it's healthy, and it's going to take another 2 or 3 years of work to continue to develop this budget, but it's one that I'm proud to present. And thank you to the members of the board, of the committee. Thank you.
Manager Probolka, do you have anything for the record?
Just to note that this budget document has been made available for public inspection and has been advertised in accordance with the First Class Township Code. township ordinance and all relevant statutes.
Are there any members of the public who wish to comment on the budget? Going once, going twice, going 3 times.
And notice of this hearing, I assume, was also properly advertised.
Yes, sir.
I do want to say before we close the hearing, there are many townships and boroughs that we serve that have, from time to time, issues with their budget. This is a sustainable budget, brought about, I think, by the efforts of this Board of Commissioners and this administration. And the fact that there is not a lot of public comment, I think, demonstrates the public feels, and I think appropriately so, that how public, the public fisc is administered in Susquehanna Township is done in a sustainable manner. So it is a compliment, I think, to the board more than anything else. That closes the public hearing, Mr. President. The board can take action if it wishes.
All right, thank you, Solicitor Miller. We'll turn first to ordinance 2204. I don't know if you want to address that, Ms. Lupton, our Finance Director.
Thank you, Mr. President. Provided in the agenda is a copy of the ordinance as advertised, fixing the tax rates and assessments for Susquehanna Township for 2024. Real estate taxes for general purposes are proposed to be set at 4.05 mils, and real estate taxes for fire protection purposes are proposed to be set at 0.775 mils. Streetlight assessments remain unchanged from 2023, and any other taxes such as earned income tax, real estate transfer tax, etc., which have been itemized in the 2024 annual budget, will also remain unchanged. There is, in your narrative, there was a misprint, an incorrect statement, but it is provided appropriately in the ordinance. So staff is recommending that the Board of Commissioners adopt the ordinance establishing tax rates and assessments for the fiscal year beginning January 1 of 2024 and ending December 31st of 2024.
Is there a motion?
There is a motion. So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded by Commissioner Engel. Any comments?
If I may, can I, just for the record, I believe both the fire protection and the real estate taxes for general purposes both have slight increases from prior year. I'd like to just know what they are, just for the record, so that it's clear.
Sure, they do. The general purposes tax increase is a $0.5 mil, and the fire protection tax is an increase of 0.1 mil. For a total of 0.6 mils.
Okay, so like for the fire protection, for example, last year was 0.675 and now it's okay.
Yes.
Thanks for that clarification.
Any other comments or questions? All right, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay. Next up is Resolution 23R35, which would adopt the annual budget for the fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2024 and ending December 31st the same year, based on the revenues outlined by Ms. Lovett through this ordinance. Mr. Sanderson.
I move to adopt the resolution, which adopts the 2024 annual budget.
Second. Moved and seconded by Commissioner Rothrock. Any comments or questions? All's in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, thank you all for your work on this. Thank you. Do it again next year?
Yeah.
Promise. All right, moving on to budget bids and agreements. First up is an audit engagement letter authorization with Zelenkowski and Axelrod. Ms. Lovett?
Thank you again, Mr. President.
You're welcome.
Provided with the agenda is an engagement letter from the Township Auditor Zelenkowski Axelrod LLC to conduct the 2023 and 2024 Township audits, including any DCED filings, and if necessary, a single audit required if more than $750,000 of federal funds are spent in any one fiscal year. Staff is recommending a 2-year engagement with the firm.
Is there a motion?
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Commissioner Colonna. Comments or questions?
Is this the current firm that has been doing it?
Yes, it is the current firm. We've used them for the last 4 years.
Any other comments or questions? All's in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next up is the zoning administration retainer agreement with HRG. Ms. Logan.
Thank you. Provided with the agenda is a copy of the retainer agreement with HRG for assistance with zoning administration in 2024. The purpose of this agreement is to provide support for the Assistant Township Manager to meet statutory obligations for permit review and inspections until a full-time zoning officer can be retained. The agreement allows for month-to-month extension and includes weekly office hours for walk-in traffic. And we are recommending we're requesting that the board authorize the township manager to execute a retainer agreement with HRG for zoning administration services.
So moved. Second. Moved and seconded. Any comments or questions? So would this be for the firm in general or a particular individual, or is it mix and match depending on staffing availability?
So right now we have Jackie Goldberg, who's formerly with East Hanover zoning officer. She's going to be the main point of contact. She will be doing the in-house Susquehanna Township hours, and she will be assisted as needed by Maitland Griner, who also does zoning work in our office. So essentially two folks.
All right. Any other questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Humane Society agreement. Mr. Volker.
Thank you, Mr. President. Board has with your agenda a copy of the agreement provided by the Humane Society of Harrisburg Area Incorporated. The agreement is a continuation of the services they currently provide to the Susquehanna Township Police Department for essentially the acceptance of domestic dogs and cats, as well as animal control services. Otherwise, staff is recommending approval.
Is there a motion?
Motion to execute the agreement.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Commissioner Colonna. Comments or questions?
This is, if I may, Mr. President, just for clarification on this as well, I know each year we have this agreement put in place. I assume the agreement is substantially consistent with the agreement we approved last year. I mean, the language is other than.
Yes, that's correct.
How about the fees? Have the fees increased from last year? If so, substantially or slightly or?
I believe the fees remain fairly static. There may have been a slight increase. Apologies, I didn't do a comparison, but they're significant. I mean, it's a piece, it's a component of the budget that is substantial. I think we have a fair amount of intake of stray dogs and cats, so we keep them busy.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? All's in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, ordinances, resolutions, subdivision plans, et cetera. First up is Resolution 23R36, which is the fee resolution. Betsy, you want to take that?
Sure. At the regular meeting of the Board of Commissioners on November 9th, we presented a draft 2024 schedule of fees with several amendment changes to costs incurred for zoning permits, park usage, street cuts, and more. The fee schedule describes all costs for services recuperated by the township, including those associated with subdivision land development, sewer and septic inspections, enforcement, and other various township ordinance requirements. The board authorized a resolution to adopt the 2024 schedule of fees, which is provided with the agenda, and we are recommending adoption of the fee schedule.
Motion to adopt.
Moved by Commissioner Sanderson.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Crankle. Any comments or questions? Please, Ken.
Yeah, I had it's probably a dumb question, but regarding the recreation fees, I see there's a rental fee for the tennis courts and some facilities like that. And the thought came to mind that some citizens might think that if they want to go play tennis when the court's empty, that they would have to make arrangements and pay a fee. I don't think that's the intent. We just wanted to verify that.
No, that is not the intent. It's more for a large group gathering. So, for example, we had an organization rent the pavilion, and they wanted to be able to use the pickleball courts for a period of time during their rental. So then we charge that group the rental fee for
So they're essentially reserving it for a period of time.
Exactly.
Other folks may not be able to use it during that period of time, but
Right.
if you go to Veterans Park and the tennis court's empty, you can play.
Yes.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure everybody, the public was clear on that.
Yeah, and it's the same as our pavilions and everything like that. Really what you're doing is you're reserving a block of time for the use.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other comments or questions? Okay, on the fee resolution, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, next up is Resolution 23R37, adopting facility reservation information and regulations at Susquehanna Township Parks. Doug?
Thank you, Board and Mr. President. This is just an update, as we did with our recreation rules ordinance. These are an update to our facility reservation information and regulations that we do for the township. With a few incidents and with work with Chief Martin on trying to better handle some of these things, we incorporated some rules change as far as rentals and specifically with our pavilions and so forth. We did have 2 police incidents this past year with rentals, so we've addressed it a little bit stronger than our regulations done by resolution. Many of the others are pretty much the same. We really focused on the rental aspect in this process. And the reason we do it as a resolution and not as part of the main ordinance, it gives us a little bit more flexibility of changing it as needed as situations may occur in the future.
Mr. President, I'd like to also move approval of the adopting the rules and regulations for our parks.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Commissioner Polona. Comments, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Resolution 2023-R38, authorizing the installation of an ADA accessible parking space at 2227 Boa Street, Susquehanna Township. PSD Mark?
Traffic study requested to place handicap parking space 2227 Boa Street. We conducted the study. Study recommends placement. I concur. And it's completed.
Not easy.
Moving along here. Long night.
Motion to adopt the resolution.
Second. Moved and seconded by Commissioner Randall. Sorry, John. Try better next time. All right. Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Resolution 2339, which would do what? Oh, this is a handicap accessible, an ADA accessible parking space at 3912 Durham Road in Harrisburg, or Susquehanna Township.
Traffic study requested to place a handicap parking space 3912 Durham Road. We conducted a study. Study recommended placement. I concur.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Barcheck,
Second.
second by Commissioner Sanderson. Comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right. Resolution 2023 R40, which will ratify a collective bargaining agreement with the ASME District Council 90 for a term beginning January 1st, 2024 and expiring on December 31st, 2026.
Thank you, Mr. President. Provided with your agenda this evening is a copy of the resolution that would authorize a renewed agreement, collective bargaining agreement with the Highway Division of the Public Works Department of Susquehanna Township. Contract term is beginning January 1, 2024. It's a 3-year term expiring December 31st, 2026. I'm pleased to report that this contract was negotiated in good faith by both parties. I want to express my appreciation to the bargaining unit on the Highway Division, as well as staff, Solicitor Miller, and of course the Admin Personnel Committee and the Board of Commissioners at large for helping to execute this contract or develop this contract in the way it was. I believe it is a fair agreement, and everyone is satisfied with the outcome. So I am pleased to recommend approval this evening.
So moved. Moved by Commissioner Netver, seconded by Commissioner Sanderson. Comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next up is Resolution 23R41. And this would authorize the manager to approve expenses of pre-construction activities as set forth in Section 4 of the Dauphin County Infrastructure Safety Improvement Program. Mr. Bogart.
Thank you, Mr. President. So again, the board has a resolution in your agenda packet. As the President indicated, it would authorize a cost-sharing agreement with the county for the Transportation Infrastructure Safety Improvement Program grant that we were successful in receiving. The local share associated with that project would be $75,750, but it is to affect a public improvement that is approximately $1,230,000 of total project cost. I believe it is money well spent, and we appreciate our colleagues at Dauphin County for their development of this program and their consideration for an award to Susquehanna Township. It would be for the superstructure replacement of the Cone Road Bridge, which spans Paxton Creek on Cone Road. We anticipate design beginning in 2024 and construction to begin likely in the 2025-2026 timeframe. There's a good bit of design that has yet to be completed and consideration that has to be made for the detour for that specific project. So HRG is currently conducting an alternatives analysis that was previously authorized by the board to be able to provide the commissioners with some alternatives to consider with respect to that project. So there's a lot more to come, but this evening staff is recommending that the board adopts this resolution so we can begin the grant process to secure those funds. Thank you.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Commissioner Elona. Sorry, Carl. Any comments or questions?
I'm really,
Hey, you're just 1 second. We'll work on that time. Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, now we get into staff reports. Mr. Manager, do you have anything?
Thank you, Mr. President. My report's in your packet. I will leave it stand as written, except to just correct the last bullet point. We were anticipating having a meeting with some of the residents of Montrose Street this week. However, it was postponed until next week, so I'm unable to provide a verbal report as I suggested I would. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have about this or anything that's not on my report.
Okay, thank you. Public Safety Police, Chief, do you have anything?
Yes, sir.
All right. Community and Economic Development?
Nothing additional.
All right. Public Works? No, of course. Nice shirt. Opportunity, yeah.
Leaf season officially ends tomorrow. It's the last scheduled day. Since I know the newsletter won't be out till later, with snow coming, when they're calling for weather, move your cars into off-street parking if you have it. Remove basketball hoops and nets off the street. And we do not allow for you to save spaces. That way we can plow back the curb lines and clear the roads in its entirety during snowstorms. That's all.
Thank you very much. Good report. Engineering, y'all good? Mr. Law Bureau.
The Law Bureau notes that we come to the end of another year, that I am both shorter, fatter, my hair is grayer, I begin to resemble a hobbit. I recognize all those things. And I'm grateful for the opportunity to have served the township for another year. And I say that on behalf of both myself, Morgan, and the rest of our staff.
You are very jolly, though.
Good job, Solicitor. Thank you very much. Parks and Rec, Doug, you got anything?
Other than that.
All right. Old business. Apparently we have none. New business? None. Consent agenda. There are about 6 items on here. Statement of bills paid, civil service list certification, authorization to hire Daniel Paz to the Susquehanna Township Police Department. We interviewed him tonight in executive session. Reappointment of Ember Jandbauer to the Zoning Hearing Board. It's an important decision because their next meeting occurs before our regular meeting in January. So they do have business on the agenda. And she did reach out to you finally. Good. Next up is a contract for road projects, pay application number 3, $609,882.50. And then potential security reduction for Susquehanna Union Green in the amount of $3,688.
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Anybody have any questions on the whole agenda or any particular item therein? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next up, Chief, coming up here, going to seek authorization for a hearing.
Yes, traffic study was conducted at the intersection of Wedgewood Road and Cloverfield Road and recommends the placement of the stop sign. I concur.
Okay, so what we need is authorization to advertise a public hearing on that, since it's an ordinance. Is that right? Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. Rocky and Sean. Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next up is development, discussion of the formation of Susquehanna Township redevelopment. And turn it over to Solicitor Zimmer, best solicitor in the world, according to him. But I would note that, should an opportunity come along that would enable Susquehanna Township proper to take possession of land that is encumbered by legislation that requires it to go into RDA, the formation of an RDA will enable us to acquire some land should the township desire to do so. With that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Beck.
So, my Senator, Mr. President, the concept of having a redevelopment authority would be as a vehicle to allow the township to potentially take possession, permanent possession of land currently administered by the Department of General Services, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. That is the only manner in which we could receive that land and take title to it. The cost and expense and time relative to forming an RDA is relatively small. The upside value, I think, is relatively significant for the township, both for that and for other kind of redevelopment efforts that we might have elsewhere in the township. And there are, as the board has discussed previously, areas of the township that, deserve that kind of attention that we continue to talk about. And so for all of those reasons, it's our recommendation we seek the approval of the Board of Commissioners to allow us to start the process of putting together an RDA and bringing it back before you for the appropriate paperwork, and then once it's formed, for the appointment of members of the Board of Commissioners to sit on the RDA, just as we do with the general authority. So for all of those reasons, the return on investment is significant, and the value to the township, I think, is also significant. So we ask for that permission.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Delona, second by Commissioner Engel. Any comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Commissioner comments. Any commissioner comments on this last meeting of the year?
Yeah, I just would like to say that it was nice to see all the EMS and firefighters.
Yeah, it was.
I have unfortunately had personal experience being rescued by the EMS on 2 different occasions, and I certainly appreciated their professionalism and their quickness in getting to me when I needed them. So I think we have an outstanding group all the way around in our public safety department and EMS and so forth. So I think everybody should be thankful to be in Susquehanna Township.
Well put.
Mr. President?
Mr. President?
Yes.
I'd just like to express my gratitude to all first responders, particularly with the event at 3204 Crest Road, home explosion due to gas. Their response was excellent. My wife was home. They made her leave the house, thank God. And fortunately, nobody was seriously injured, but the response from all our first responders was outstanding, and I thank them for it.
Mr. President?
Yes.
2 things. I live like a stone's throw away from Progress 32, and I know you guys have been busy. Thank you for everything you do for our township. Secondly, Doug and the rest of the township employees, I appreciate your all the hard work you guys put in us producing 2 master plans. Well, one is being finalized, but the first was the Wedgwood Hills property this year, and of course the bike ped plan that we are going to wrap up quite soon enough. Thank you for everything you've done.
Mr. President?
Yes, sir.
I'd like to just send best wishes to our colleague, Latasha Williams. This is her last meeting, and she's been a fantastic commissioner to work with, and wish her all the best.
Thank you, and likewise, you all have been absolutely wonderful. It's been my pleasure and honor to serve the residents of our township, and I'm just right in the backyard. I'm not going anywhere. Thank you so much.
Yep, and you volunteered to serve on one of those
I
boards.
did. Not forget.
And
Yeah,
for
we have a list
for that, we have a proclamation or a plaque for you, put together by our fine staff. Susquehanna Township presented to Latasha Williams in recognition of outstanding public service as Board Commissioner of Susquehanna Township. Will you please come up? That was beautiful. Yep. Let's suck it in. Sorry to put it so delicate.
Oh, she's taking it.
I'm taking it.
All right.
I gotcha.
Okay, very good.
Ready? Perfect.
Thank you all so very much.
Thanks, Latasha. Any other commissioner comments? Is that enough? We're done?
If not, Mr. President, I'd like to move to.
Wait a minute.
Moved and seconded. Oh, hold on. Yes.
Do you want to go first? Can we come up together?
Yeah.
Are we the end of the meeting?
We are at the end of the meeting. Are you interested in public comment?
Yes. Yeah, we have a comment.
Yeah, we opened that earlier in the meeting.
Oh, I don't.
I guess you may have missed right after the presentations.
I'm sorry, we didn't hear that part.
That's no problem if you want to come up and give us 3 minutes of your time.
That's all I get?
That's it, unfortunately. It's in the Bible.
Okay, I'd like to say, first of all, it's a pleasure meeting the panel for the first time, and hope your holidays are going well. My name is Ben Moser. I live at 2301 Bradley Drive. If you're familiar with that, Wedgewood Hills, in that development. And my issue that I'm dealing with, I had the pleasure of talking with Dave here, I think on Friday, or was it this week? Either way. Something like that. We're starting to address an issue that I have in the back of my property. There's a Baptist church back there that renovated their lighting, and they put all new columns, cement posts in, and probably 30-foot high posts, and these lights that they have in there now, what's the word for it? It's spillover. Spillover lighting. And there's 4 neighbors that have filed complaints. And I have my one neighbor with me. And if I could, please, I'd like to start to show Dave my first picture. Okay? All right? This is what I'm dealing with.
That picture's taken from your house?
This picture was taken from my neighbor's house to the right just this evening.
Okay.
All right? This is what I'm dealing with. Okay? Now, what I'm
Is that a
wondering-
football stadium?
Well, that's what I call it. That's exactly what I told Dave. I said, I might as well be up at the Susquehanna Township football field. What I'd like to know is, we have to address this issue. And what are we gonna do about it to make it livable? When these lights are on at night, I can turn all my lights off in my family room and it looks like I have a projector screen on my wall. It's coming into my family room, it's coming into my kitchen, it's coming into in our bedroom, and this goes on roughly 4 nights a week. Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, or no, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and Sunday. Yeah, so, Betsy, I have been informed that you were talking with the...
Yes, I've been in contact with the pastor of the church.
The pastor or whatever?
Yep, and he has a deadline for tomorrow to get me information.
Okay. What my issue here is they installed all this new lighting, and I had talked with Dave, and I said, don't you need permits to install all of this upgrade in lighting and whatever else they did? They ran new lines underground, they had equipment in there, and all these lights went in, and I would like to know if everything's legal with this lighting. Obviously, the lighting is way too much for the parking lot. So, if they would have done it the proper way, by coming in and getting a permit, wouldn't the permit have stated the amount of looms that they would be allowed to have in their parking lot? This is what I'm getting to. I'd like to have this problem resolved and have it back to normal. So, that's my spiel.
We're on track to that, right?
I'm sorry?
The dialogue is ongoing?
Yeah, it is. Our zoning ordinance is fairly limited in what it has regarding looms. It's in lighting standards. It's the subdivision land development ordinance that has that. So we're making sure that what they've installed follows what's in the subdivision and land development ordinance.
I have one other question. Where are the regulations or limits based at? I mean, you gotta have guidelines, right?
They're in the subdivision and land development
Okay, so
ordinance.
they would have had known that if they would have gotten a permit?
Not necessarily, no.
So they could go and install that, and then we'd have to start all over again because they installed
Unfortunately,
the wrong
the
lighting?
way that it's set up, yes. that's
Okay. But I just want to know what our next steps are, what we're
I
gonna
think,
do.
Mr. Moser, I think what we have to do is get more information. We don't have enough, I don't. have
Okay,
enough information.
yeah.
You're telling me all this, that's fine, and I
Right.
appreciate it.
Sure,
And-
sure.
And I understand how passionate you are about it, I would be too.
Mhm.
But we have to get
their side of the story, we have to look at the paperwork they did or didn't file.
Okay.
So,
Yeah,
that's where we're at.
so I know it's gonna be a lengthy time, but as long as there's progress, that's my concern. Because this has been going on since August. So I give him the benefit of the doubt, thinking that you have this kind of lighting in your parking lot, isn't it kind of intrusive to the other neighbors? Now granted, when they're gone, but the lights are still on, they'll,
2 o'clock in the morning, you
yeah,
have to go to
and the
that.
church is closed. This is what I can't figure out.
And they are aware that that is an issue too, that's not supposed to be on at that.
And I would think the best thing to do, I don't know, I mean, how you're gonna do it, but somebody should come over if you really wanna see it live and come over and check it out.
I don't think I've seen anything like it since Christmas vacation when Gridwell turned his lights on.
I could take it for the holiday and then it's done come January, whatever, 8th. But this is, I mean, it's so intrusive. It's showing me lack of courtesy and respect for your neighbor. And this is supposed to be a church.
Now, did you say you talked to the church officials?
I do, no, I had talked to Dave, I am not crossing that line. I don't think it would end well.
Not just,
You know, and what would it do me talking to him?
myself.
What would it change?
We've had interaction with him. I'm Karen, I'm at 2305 Bradley Drive.
Okay.
We've had many interactions with him about other things, and he does not care about the neighbors, and their opinions on anything. And I can't even step foot on his property to get a baseball, because I'm trespassing.
This is the pastor.
Yes.
Okay.
And for these lights, like, I wake up to go to the bathroom at night, I've emailed, Ms. Logan, and if you get up at nighttime to go to the restroom, they are lighting up your bedroom window, your master bedroom, because that's facing the property. My only luck is the fact that I have a row of pine trees between myself and Ben. So that's not as intrusive on my property. But then my neighbor next to me does not have that barrier.
That picture that I showed you was just taken this evening from my neighbor.
Did they,
My right.
did they recently have trees along there and they were trimmed down?
They've taken practically every tree out of that property.
Okay, so prior to those trees being up there, was the lights put in?
No, the lights are just
Put in
here
after.
in
They were just
August.
put in August.
Okay.
Yeah.
They've actually also repaved part of that, parking lot.
Do you need a permit for that to do paving?
So when they were doing this lighting and installing, because some of their poles actually fell down, so then they were redoing the lighting, and then they also repaved part of if you actually look on that, property and watch the no trespassing signs, because he really adheres to those, that you'll see the patch job of the property, of the pavement, of where they actually repaved it. So ever since this, I mean, I can understand you want lights on for whenever you're at church, but to have them on 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and that they're actually, I sent you pictures just of my property, but it does not, like, because of the trees, it doesn't illuminate my whole house.
We'll look into it.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I didn't hear you.
No, we honestly didn't.
It was right after all the public.
Oh.
Yeah. First.
Well, we got an education and everything else.
Yeah.
Right. That's
Run
my
for
pleasure.
office. There you go.
Meeting you.
Yep.
So, but thank you, Dave, for your help, and Betsy too. And hopefully we'll hear from you soon. Thank you much.
That's mine.
I will do that. He'll be glad to hear that I've seen him over.
You know it.
Thanks again.
If it's okay if I may make a suggestion,
Guys, like I said,
there's really
are top play.
two aspects to this. One is whether, there's violations, et cetera, but even if it's concluded that, that there's no violations of our codes, et cetera, there's at least one additional alternative, and that is, I don't see any reason why lights should be on at 2 o'clock in the morning versus like at 10 o'clock at night or something. There's got at least be something in the meantime, some cooperation going on to turn those lights off much sooner than they are on now, and only have them on at a minimum of the time that it's really necessary. I can't imagine why a church would need to have lights on at 2 o'clock in the morning.
There's probably on a timer, I would think.
Well, the timers can be changed is what I'm trying to
They are on a
suggest.
timer, and he said that they should not be on at 2 in the morning, so he was checking into the
And
pastor.
that would
was
be like
checking
a bare minimum, while you work everything out, there should be some at least minimal changes made immediately.
I would agree he's not very cooperative.
Oh, really?
I wonder whether or not it might be a better idea to just let staff,
Yeah.
why don't we just let staff investigate this, work with us to try and get this done? Your suggestion's a good one, rather than discuss this publicly. Because I think there's probably different sides to the story and different issues to deal with. So that, but I think Commissioner Isser, your thought is a good one. That's what I know that Betsy's pursuing.
Very good.
Thank you.
All right.
Well said.
Now my motion to adjourn?
You got it.
Yeah. Aye.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Commissioner Rothrock seconded it.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
It's a wrap.
Sorry about that. All right, moved and seconded. Any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Happy New Year.